Therefore, it says, the intelligents who seek the future lives should faithfully strive for transcendence and enter the mandala, not desiring the results for this life. If one strives for this life alone, the purpose of the future lives will not be fulfilled. Striving for the benefit of the future lives will enhance the results in this one. And so, thinking only of seeking only the benefit for this life alone, and you will not actually fulfill the goal of this teaching. So you should have the motivation of compassion, the compassionate motivation to serve others, and not thinking selfish motive. And Chandrakirti also says, compassion alone is important. In the beginning, in the middle. In the beginning means before entering the path, in the middle, after becoming a bodhisattva, and in the end, after becoming a Buddha. And so, here, Master Chandrakirti in a Madhyamaka Avatara praises compassion for, first of all, as a seed for bodhicitta, and then in the middle, once you have become a bodhisattva, to enhance your bodhicitta further and further, and then progress along the path, and in the end, when you become a Buddha, as the fully ripened crop to benefit others. And therefore, he praises it rather than praising the other qualities of the Buddha. So if one strives for this life alone, the purpose of future lives will not be fulfilled. Striving for the benefit of future life will enhance the results in this one as well. And then next is the disciples generating into the principal deity. So that the earlier one was bearing the correct motivation, or correcting one's motivation, and bearing the motivation of bodhicitta. And so, as I explained earlier, in order to achieve the form body of a Buddha, it comes from the collection of merit, where the form body is for the benefit of others, and then the Dharma body is for fulfilling one's aim. You need that of the collection of wisdom. So, of course, in the Sutrayana also, there is the practice of accumulating merit as well, but to do that in a great way, what we must understand is that this body that we have now, the contaminated body, cannot actually turn into the Buddha's body. And therefore we need to cultivate a special body. In the lower tantras, there's not much explanation of this. Because there is no explanation of the practices on the basis of distinction between the degrees of subtlety within the mind, gross and subtlemost, and so forth. So what we should do in Tantra is to transform our perception of ourselves as ordinary and have the perception of oneself as a deity. Of course, this body that we have now, made up of bone, blood, and flesh, is not perceived in itself as becoming the body of deity, but we should first dissolve it into emptiness. So as we say, everything dissolves into emptiness, and from within that meditation of emptiness, from within the state of emptiness, you arise into the form of a deity. And so here the sensory perceptions are not actually have no work. You use your mind itself And they're using that mind to meditate on emptiness, perceiving or thinking that there's nothing which is inherently existent, as Madhyamaka Avatara says. Through the sevenfold reasoning, so if things were to have any intrinsic inherent existence and so forth, so Master Chandrakirti says that nothing has any inherent or independent existence, and because if you actually posit or assert inherent existence, then there would be 4 different absurd consequences that would fall on you. And then he says the things exist by way of convention alone, and conventions must not be analyzed through the ultimate analysis. And so, if things were to have any true or inherent existence, then the conventional truth would be able to withstand ultimate analysis, and therefore that's not the case. And therefore nothing whatever has any inherent existence, but things exist merely by way of designation. As Master Nagarjuna's intention is that, he also says, whatever arises through dependence, dependence is said to be empty, and that is also said to be designated. That's the middle way. Whatever arises through, whatever is dependently arisen, there's nothing which is not dependently arisen, therefore there's nothing which is not empty. And so Tsongkhapa also says, so Tsongkhapa says that within emptiness, understanding of emptiness, you should be able to assert the causality of things, and so if we think through, there's nothing that is intrinsically existent, but things do exist by way of convention alone. So Buddha himself cannot be found when we do scrutinize him. As Master Nagarjuna himself says in the 22nd chapter of Mula Madhyamaka Karika, he is not the aggregates, nor the aggregates are not different or separate from the aggregates. He does not possess the aggregates, nor the aggregates possess him. He is not within the aggregates, and nor with the aggregates within him, and he does not possess the aggregates. What else is Tathagata? And so this verse can be used to apply to yourself also. You can say, not one with aggregates, not separate, not within the aggregates, nor am I within it, and I do not possess it, the aggregates. Who am I? So if you think of yourself, of course you have a body which is tangible, and then you say, my body, speech and mind. So these body, speech and mind are mine, you will say. But where is that you, I? And so if you think along this verse from Nagarjuna's 22nd chapter of Mula Madhyamaka Karika, which I also use, you will find that you can't actually pinpoint at something as being yourself. But self is not inexistent. Self or a person exists, but not intrinsically. And therefore, you meditate on emptiness, and you'll be able to see that you are not the aggregates and so forth, and this appearance of the aggregates that you usually cling on to as being mine and yourself actually disappears, and then your mind is absorbed in emptiness, and from within that absorption in emptiness you arise into a deity. And your body, speech and mind as a deity do not exist intrinsically, as this mantra refers to. Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadharma. Swabhava means empty of, devoid of, inherent existence. And Sarvadharma means all dharmas, all phenomena also are devoid of any intrinsic existence. And so, Swabhava refers to you, and all Sarvadharma refers to all the aggregates and the other phenomena. And so, you and the aggregates have no intrinsic existence. They are devoid of any intrinsic existence whatever. And so, what you ascertain through this kind of analysis is that of emptiness. So you ascertain emptiness. And so that mind which ascertains emptiness arises in the form of a deity. So having the ascertainment of emptiness, and then from within that state of mind with absorption in emptiness, you arise into a deity. And therefore, there is the cause for both the form body and the dharma body, dharmakaya and the rupakaya. In Tantra, this can be explained. But the detailed explanation cannot be done in the lower Tantras. Like in this case, Avalokiteshvara initiation comes within the lower Tantra here. And so everyone please meditate on emptiness. Om Swabhava, thinking along this mantra, Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarvadharma Swabhava Shuddhoham. And also the lines that I quoted from Mula Madhyamaka Karita, and also Madhyamaka Avatara. So if you think along these lines and reasonings, you will be able to ascertain that things exist merely through the appearance to the mind. Apart from that appearance to the mind, things cannot exist or do not exist. And so that you ascertain things, whatever has no intrinsic existence, and absorb your mind in emptiness, and from within that state you arise into Avalokiteshvara with one face and two hands. Please repeat this. Please repeat. Oh, great bliss, you are my teacher, so Master, please pay attention to me, the firm way of free enlightenment. I beg you, O great Protector, please grant me the pledges, the spirit of enlightenment, the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha. Oh, Protector, please lead me to the supreme city of enlightenment. See the last two words 3 times. O Protector, please lead me to the Supreme City of Enlightenment. O Protector, please lead me to the Supreme City of Enlightenment, liberation. And therefore, having said this 3 times, repeated this 3 times as a request, next is, since you, the disciples, have total faith and trust, the Master says, my child, come here. So far, you are carried away by your negative emotions, because of which you created karmas, and therefore you suffer, and therefore you are overcome with suffering all the time. But suffering is because it has cause, and the cause is ultimately